Hello again. Welcome to another episode of building a nesting dinghy in your dining room. What am I going to do today? Well, I've got a couple of pieces of 1/4" ply glued together here, and I've got a couple of curves drawn on there. So I'm going to cut these out and then drill holes in them. And these are going to be the pads for the aft section where the U-bolts go through, because it's only 3/4" ply there and the bolts are going to stick out too far. So I'm going to put this 1/2 inch of padding on the inside, and I may also do one on the outside as well, so that's going to make it stronger in my view. So I'm going to cut out 2 more of these, just out of 1/4" ply, get them cut to shape and ready to glue on. So once those are glued on, I can drill the hole through, fill that with epoxy, and then drill the holes for the bolts, and everything's then done. So that's the first job today, and the next job will be with the rudder assembly. So the rudder actually is progressing quite slowly because there's a lot of little jobs to do. So for example, this is the rudder cheek, this is the cheek doubler to strengthen it up, then there's a hole drilled through there where a bolt will go through, and then the same on the other side, but also there's a spacer which is this shape, which goes between the cheeks of the assembly, so that when this is all glued up, it'll look a bit like this, and that will leave a gap then for the rudder. So here's the rudder, and again, that's got a hole drilled through, which is filled with epoxy, and on this side it's nice and sanded flat, because and on this side, this is the side I filled it from, so this is going to need sanding down. So it needs sanding first, then I'm going to drill a hole in it, and then I'm going to make sure that this rudder assembly works properly inside this section like this, so that tilts up, and when you go out into the deeper water, this rudder pulls down. And how that gets pulled down is through a piece of rope which goes through this hole here and gets knotted into that hole there, and then that rope will go up this channel and then through a hole you can just see there, which has got a copper pipe inside it, and then come out of there, and that's how you'll pull the rudder down. So the rudder will be in the up position, and then to pull it down you'll pull on the rope, which will be here. That will go down through that hole, down here, around here to there, and that will pull that around and into the down position. So quite a lot going on there. So this has taken a bit of time to get sorted, and last time I was here, this got glued on the previous time, but I drilled a hole and I put a couple of pipe in place. That is going to need a bit of tidying up. The top of the pipe needs to be flared so that it's not a sharp edge for the rope to go over. And then I need to make sure that when this turns, there's enough gap here for the rope to go up. So that will be another job for today. So still, before I can make the assembly and glue this together, I still need to put in bolt holes for the pin tools, because these pin tools go on here, and they need to be bolted through from the inside. So this particular, how this one fits on, it will be about like that. So these holes can be through bolted through this, but because that hole is in the area where it's going to be hollow inside, what I have to do is I have to drill through from the inside and countersink it, and then use countersinking bolts from the inside to the out, so that these can be bolted from the outside. So that means countersinking it and putting epoxy on the countersinking part of the bolt area before these can be assembled and glued in position. So it's a lot of tiny little jobs to get through. So that needs to be undertaken today. I'm also going to turn the aft and forward section upside down and sand down the fillet that I put on the keel last time, ready for 3 coats of epoxy. And then tomorrow will be 3 coats of epoxy, 1 in the morning, 1 at lunchtime and 1 in the evening, and then the keel will be done. And then I'll crack on with some other little jobs, probably around the rudder, the tiller, which needs sanding down, the centreboard, which is still on this sort of planed on one side. It needs to be sanded on that side, and it needs to be planed and then sanded on the other side to make it into a smooth shape. Then it needs to be glassed and probably finally painted. So I've got the paint, but I think we're still a few weeks away from getting any paint on, but we're getting close, Okay, better get going then. Okay, so just wanted to stop here and give you a quick demo of the rudder in its dry fit state. It's all the parts now assembled, but it needs further work still, but at least I can show you how the mechanism works. So what we've got is the rudder blade and the rudder stock, and there's a bolt going through here with a nut on and a washer. That all seems to be working quite well. So the rudder comes down, comes to there, and the tiller's going to be here, and this line will be across the top of the tiller. And when the boat starts going through the water, the tiller will probably ride up, which it should do, and which it will also do if it hits a shallow spot or a sandbank or something, or the beach. It will rise up until it's higher than the bottom of the rudder stock, which will be probably just slightly above the bottom of the boat. And so then when you get back in the water and you get going, and you want to get the rudder down, what you have to do is you have to pull on this line. So gravity's working for me at the moment, so I'll just tilt this to an angle. And then when you pull this line, it pulls the rudder down and holds it, and you can lock that off and hold it in position. Not sure whether I just want to use bit of line like this or whether I want to use bungee, because if you're using bungee and it just hits something, there will be a bit of stretch in the system, and it's probably better than just using standard line cleated off. So I think I'm going to use bungee. This is now just all screwed together just to verify that it's all in the right place. But if I take this top part off, this will eventually get glued on once everything's ready. So we're not too far away. We've got to do the pintles yet, but oh, I need to take that nut off, don't I? So I take that nut, that comes off. That's in the wash. I can go over here. So you can see how that works internally. So this is the blade, and that will go into the up position like this, and the sandy beach will be there. And when you get going into deeper water, you can just let that down, and the water resistance might hold it back. So you need to pull on this line to pull the rudder down into position. And that works because this line goes in through a hole there, through the rudder blade, to another hole here, which has got a knot at the end of the line. So it pulls against that knot and pulls it into position. The line goes up through that gap there, and then through the copper pipe at the top, and out onto the top of the tiller. So yeah, this just all needs to be finished off. I think I need to shape this a little bit more, and it all needs epoxy coating gluing together. While this is dry fit, I think the next job is to get the pintles on it, because some of the pintle bolts need to be inserted from the inside and they need to be countersunk. So I need to drill a hole for the pintles in some parts of the rudder cheeks and countersink them so that the bolts can go in. And I may even put the bolts in before I glue this together, because I think once they glue together, the bolts might not actually be able to get put into the holes because they put through from the inside. Right, that's that. Might have a cup of tea now before I get on with the next bit. So while I'm at it, I've realised that the seat needs to have a couple of holes drilled so that I can get some of that 10mm line through. So I'm doing that now so that I can actually get it epoxied at some point in the future. Talking of epoxy, here I am mixing the first batch for the keel's first coat. Okay, so I've got 3 coats of epoxy on the keel. The rudder assembly has come on. I've got the pintles to fit. I had to drill out the holes in the pintles to get the 5mm bolts through because the pintles were American size and it was just a tiny bit too small. And I've countersunk the holes on the inside of the rudder cheeks so that the countersinking head bolts can fit through from the inside and still let the rudder work. So next time I'm going to get that rudder assembly joined together, but I have made a bit more progress planing down the centreboard, and I've also faired the rudder a little bit better. So this is the centreboard, and as you can see, this has all been planed down. This was done last time or previously. Today I've started to plane down this side. It's not finished yet, still got a ways to go, but it's quite hard work, and after an hour of planing your back starts to ache. So and I also need to do the leading edge, but that doesn't need as much work. So I think maybe next time that will get finished, and I may think then about starting to, well, possibly glass it, but it needs sanding first. So today I did the same with the rudder. So I planed down the trailing edge there. Maybe you can see there, you can see the sort of different layers that have been as they've been cut into with the plane, and on the other side I think that'll look quite nice once it's epoxied, and I'll probably put some glass on it as well just to make it stronger. So that's the trailing edge, and then the leading edge has just been rounded over really. It's quite thin, so I think I'm quite happy to leave that like that. I think fairly pleased with that. So yeah, next time that will get glassed and epoxied. So yeah, that's ready to go. So that's it. Yeah. I made a small mistake ordering the machine screws to attach the pintles to the rudder and the gudgeons to the stern. They were all just 5mm too short. I think that's because I ordered countersunk heads, which I think I measured from the top, and what I needed was pan heads, which I think I measured from just below the head. So I ended up with a thread that was just 5mm too short and wouldn't have taken a nut properly. So I've reordered an extra set. So those should be here next week. Alright, so if you've enjoyed watching, please give me a thumbs up. Yeah, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell as well, and then you'll get notified when I put new videos up. Alright, thanks for watching. See you next time. Cheers.